Yeah, gosh, it feels like it's been a while. So let's get into it. I'm gonna open the YouTube monitoring thing. See who's on there. Oh, I gotta start this one. Wait. And I think we're live on Facebook. All right, hello everybody. I got Facebook covered, and I just need YouTube. Woohoo! Mm, mm, mm. Huh. I wonder if it's working. Hey, if it's working, if you're able to see me on YouTube, let me know. Oh, yeah, I do see. I don't know. Somehow the chat doesn't show me anybody. All right. Sorry. The start of these lives is always kind of tricky. But what I want to talk about, I wanted to kick us off of something because the start is kind of awkward while we're waiting for questions. So, hey, I would just like to hear who is going to the Power BI Summit. Now, that's what I'm calling it. They keep changing the name on us. It's like Business Data Insight Summit, Business Application Summit. As far as I'm concerned, it's a Power BI Summit. You know what? So folks on YouTube, you're awfully quiet. Let me say hi to my friend on the phone. So Dennis, I'm glad you're here. Eric, hi there. Ooh, Heather just joined. Hey, Heather. And Roberto is here. Hello, folks.
Hi.
Well, so I know, Roberto, you're in Italy, and I think you were traveling to Brazil for a project.
Yeah, next Sunday.
Okay, so no chance you're gonna be at the Business Application Summit, is there? Are you even thinking about it? Did you think about
No,
it?
no.
Yeah, okay. Bit of a trip.
It's out of question. I'm sorry.
No worries. Uh, Dennis, Eric, Heather, what about you guys? Is anybody coming?
I've got end of season reports.
Not in the plans for me. Sorry about that, Avi.
Okay, yeah. So I know. Well, I'm not sure. I think in Microsoft, I was there a while, and yeah, the year end kind of gets crazy. Fiscal year end, their year ends in June, and then it's a little relaxed in summer. So July is a good time for them, I guess, which is okay. I am not only going there, I am slotted to have a pre-day session, and we're working on getting this updated. But I'm super duper excited about it, folks. So yeah, so again, prepping. We're trying to get the title updated, but the key here is. The biggest thing is I'm presenting with the one and only, the amazing Matt Allington. Of course, anybody who is kind of been in Power BI Circle knows Matt. He's got an excellent book, training, consulting, all of that stuff. So I'm going to be presenting with him, and we were just talking yesterday, and we were sketching out not only a new sexier title. Well, actually, it's not sexier. We kind of went with, but more. It says a little bit more about what we're going to present, and also we fleshed out the abstract to really communicate what we're going to be talking about. So yeah, we're going to tag team on that. And both me and Matt, it's funny because we were using different terms. We have, well, he's in Australia, right? So they do things a bit differently. So he was explaining the same concepts, but he just uses different terms. I mean, he showed me his flow and he called it acquisitions. I have never used that term. He's talking about using query editor to connect to the data set. And then there were some other minor things like that. But the best part was we were talking about the same thing. We were using different terms. We're like, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, but I call it this. So we both believe, we both feel, and gosh, we've been in the industry for so long that it's kind of under the hood that matters. And one phrase that we bounced around with, came up with, that if you do that right, then everything becomes easier. I mean, we see people kind of struggling with, sometimes they think it's a visualization problem, or and Matt pointed that out, that sometimes they feel like they have to write this really complex DAX formula. But if you model things right, the way you shape your data, the way you design all that, and hey, that's what we're going to cover in this session. So yeah, cool, excited about that. Okay, finally, people are showing up on YouTube. Who is there? So I might butcher some names. I apologize for that. Adi, Christia. Let's go with Christia. Christia is there. Srinivas says you can see me. I hope you can hear me too. Ankush Joshi, repeat visitor. Good to see you here. Christia says, I wish Seattle... oh, okay, so Christia is saying, I wish Seattle on the other side of the globe. Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. So Matt, of course, is traveling from the other side of the globe to be here. He's from Australia, and well, but of course, not everybody can, you know. So, Pustowe Andre says hi. Yuzong Zhang is here. Hi, Avi. Hi, guys. Awesome. Okay, cool. So, guys, yeah, I mean, if you got my email, there's no agenda for this. This is just us hanging out. So, first of all, I just come here to hang out. It's my excuse to party, and yeah, if you have any Power BI questions, just ask them in the chat box on YouTube. And what else was I gonna say? So let me check in on the phone. So folks on the phone, do you have any questions for me? Okay, well, you can come back and hit me with something. Yeah, so on the phone, pretty much you can interrupt me anytime you want. Yeah. What I wanted to say was, gosh, what was the email that I sent out? That was just this morning. I talked about, my Are You Good story. So, hey, I'll share that with you guys. Okay, post away. You do have questions, go ahead and post it. I'll get to it. That's what I'm here for, you know. So help me out. But I'll share that quick story that I sent out today. And that's my how are you story. How are you story. So it goes like this. There's two people in the conversation, right? So let's say Jim and Steve. So Jim asks Steve, how are you? And Steve says, I'm good. Jim asks again, well, no, really, how are you? And Steve says, I'm good. But then Jim says, well, but are you good simply because things around you are good, right? I mean, the circumstances around you are good. Maybe the job is working out. Maybe the boss was, gave you a raise, a bonus, a good rating, pat on the back, whatever. Maybe the wife spoke to you nicely in the morning, gave you a peck on the cheek as you left. Or you found a parking spot close to office. Could be small or big, but are you simply good because things are good? And man, I mean, that's such a deep question. And what it led me to think was, yeah, I mean, it kind of blew my mind. I mean, what if our happiness, like, why is our internal state dependent on these external things? And what if it wasn't? Now, I'm not saying I'm there. I would probably be living in a mountain if I was. So I'm not there, far from it. But I like that idea. So now whenever somebody asks me, how are you? And of course, in America, small talk, we love our small talk. So everybody says, hey, how are you doing? And I say I'm good, but every time that happens, every single time I say I'm good, I remind myself that I'm not good just because things are good right now. I can be inherently good. All right, so I know, not about Power BI, but gosh, I love that much. So, all right, so I saw some, Peter. Oh, Peter's on. So, hey, if you are a student in my class, you can join on the phone as well, if you so choose. It's okay if you like hanging out on YouTube, but you can join me on the phone. So, if you're a student. So, Peter, up to you. So, Peter says, I have a stupid easy question. Oh, okay. Can I do a STD demo on a P count? Oh, I'm not sure that's a stupid easy question. Okay, let's go with that. So what are we trying to do here? Let's make this... I'm way too big. Okay, so I'm going to hide here in the corner. And... so we have gotten better at this. 36. Ooh, with that, is that really? Okay, cool. Healthcare data set, patient ID, symptom security data. Can I do a stddev.p on account? I don't think so. Let's just try it. I should have opened this up earlier, but so just give me a moment. I'm going to open a model. I'm going to scan for other comments there. And again, hey, if you're on the phone, I believe me, I mean, it may seem like that. I don't like just hearing myself talk. So, yeah, if you have any thoughts, comments on what's being discussed or a question, feel free to chime in. So Bustavoy is asking. Okay, let me just. Okay, so I got a Power BI model going, and I'm just gonna do new measure, and well, I could have Googled it, I guess. Isn't it funny that, you know, like people ask me, Avi, where do I get Power BI desktop? And I'm like, Google it, Power BI desktop download. So the joke is to download or learn about a Microsoft product, you have to Google it, and that's okay, no biggie. So I don't know, just stddev.p. Oh, did I get it wrong? stddev.p, and it says a column name. Yeah, so it cannot take a measure. Yeah, I would love to know what you're doing. Standard deviation of account. So yeah, I think the answer is no. Why am I zoomed in so much? Oops. Can stddev.p use count? Yeah, so the answer seems no. Peter, yeah, I mean, if you tell me a little more about the scenario, and if it's easier, you can call in if you like. But let me go through what I'll just say Andre. Okay, in case I'm getting your first name wrong. Let's see what Andre is saying. So Andre is saying, is there currently a way to use Power Queries as ETL setup to update SQL Server tables? Is there update SQL Server tables? I need help on this. So I know it's been requested quite a bit, essentially to give SSIS ability to use the query editor, Power Query, whatever you want to call it. So let's say 40. And I'm not sure. Part of me feels like that functionality has been delivered. And part of me feels like it's maybe still not there. So if somebody knows on the channel, or you can Google it for me really quick, let me know. What else? Automatically and on schedule. So yeah, if SSIS has that capability, then it's going to be doable. I mean, SSIS, yeah, you can just kind of schedule it. Oh gosh. Google it, SSIS, Power Query. Nah, it doesn't look right. Power Query within SSIS. That's what I'm looking for. Ooh, so Power Query. Oh gosh, who is this from? Is this Microsoft? No, I'm not sure. Wow, so this person seems pretty reliable. So Power Query source was planned to be part of SSIS 2016 to enable self-service ETL. That's what I had heard. I think it's been pushed back. Bummer. But I do not know. Yeah, so that's a bummer. Let's see if it links to an idea or something. Nah. Okay. So that would have been the way in. I think rather than suggesting you other approaches to do it, or hacks and stuff, I mean, yeah, I mean, you can probably do a hack using third-party tools. So I'm really thinking out of the box, and may not even work. Maybe a better solution that I'm missing. But if we use third-party tools like Power Update. Oh yeah. Oh, that's actually, you know what? I think that's not that far out. I had used Power Update, and what we did was we built the ETL inside Excel Power Query, and we loaded that into Power Pivot. Fair enough? And of course, one advantage of that is you don't really have the million row limitation. You can load up hundreds of millions of rows in Power Pivot, right? And then we used Power Update to load it into SQL. Oh, you know what? That wasn't so bad. I don't know. I mean, I have done this for a client. I don't know why I didn't think of that to begin with. But again, I think getting SSIS getting Power Query inside SSIS, I think that would be cool. And as far as my understanding is that the BI community, I don't call myself BI. I'm like a business user. They've been clamoring for it. Ooh. All right. What else? So again, hey, on the phone, if you have any questions, thoughts, comments, jump in anytime. All right. If okay, let's see what else. All right. Andre. Okay. Sorry, I must still be messing up your name. I know you typed it in like, I don't know. Okay, let's go. So we talked about that. Oh, okay, I'm still not sure. So let's keep Peter's question there, because that's a meaty one. Meaty one. Not my best day today. Pronouncing things. Okay, what is there? So Peter is asking about that. How do you? Okay, Andre. Sorry, I'm gonna stick with that. Is asking how do you collaborate in source control? Yeah. So. Oh, guys, that's funny. Srinivas is saying it's really boring. Jealous to see you talk always and we listen. Believe me, it's boring for me as well. I love our live Q&A calls, and I know we have some students in the call, and I hope they speak up. But yesterday it was great. We had a great conversation, and I might go over some of the stuff. Yesterday was a really good call. So believe me, it's boring for me too. Just talking. Srinivas, I hear you. And he's saying we want to participate in user groups meets like SQL guys. Good point. Oh gosh, there's so much I want to talk about that. I'll save it though. I definitely have ideas for you. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Andre, I think we answered your query. Got it. CDS for analytics. I wouldn't say I'm savvy about that. I barely understand the concept, so I don't think I can help you there. I think you don't have to wait for anything. I mean, this one, I can guarantee this works. Can Flow do that? Oh yeah, good point. So Peter had some good suggestions. PowerFlow. Is it called PowerFlow? Okay, terrific. So let's say let's go to. I'm debating between going back to Peter's question. Let's take Andre's question. This other one. 1909. How do you collaborate on source control and QA, the modeling queries? Well, I think your question has the answer. You use source control, so you treat it as Actually, there's few. So if you think of it as a development project, so odd bit of trivia about me: I started my career in IT as, believe it or not, a source control administrator. Now, of course, forget about trying to explain it to my mom. Most people, even in the industry, would like, what? What do you do? So yeah, guys. I mean, this was for those who know. Their eyes light up like, oh yeah, you did that. So this was a suite of products eventually bought by IBM under the name Rational. So there was Rational ClearCase, Rational Clear Query, and some other tools. But ClearCase was the source control tool. Clear Query was the defect, kind of the defect tracking, issue tracking thing. And now, of course, the whole world has changed. I hear about the word JIRA, which sounds kind of funny. But so yeah, you just use source control, and that's it. You check out and check in. But the key difference here, not difference, but well, that's just the way it works, is that sometimes in source control you can have multiple people check out a file, and later you can merge them. You know, you can also branch and then merge it stuff, and this is pretty typical in the development world. But for anything related to Power BI, and I just use the word Power BI. I don't care you're using Excel, Power Pivot, Power Query, or Power BI Desktop. Just for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to say Power BI. If you're using Power BI, you have to serialize development. Oh, did that work? So serial development, that means no multiple people. Oops, didn't want to do that. You can't do that. You can't have multiple people check out because you can't merge. Not easily. I mean, unless you want to, yeah, like a really painful experience. Same way you can't really branch. I mean, you can, but it's not worth it. So I'll say just a single branch, and if you use a source control system, it's going to enforce that only one person has it checked out. There are plenty of source control systems out there. There's some that are free, TFS that often Microsoft customers already have. And I think if you want to really keep it simple, you can also just use SharePoint. SharePoint can do this. SharePoint can kind of enforce checkout. And you say, yep, we're going to only edit it one at a time. And then, of course, separately, you treat it like a development project, and you kind of track whichever issues you're working on and so forth. Now, I will say that, so I see the world roughly in kind of IT and business, and I've been mostly on the business side of things. A business user, just tune it all out. Usually you don't care of any of this, certainly when you're starting out. Just, you don't need to worry about any of this. Just get started, all right? Just pull your data, open up Power BI Desktop, and just pull the data in. Okay, cool. All right. So again, phone. Let's see if somebody new joined in. Okay, yeah. If you have questions, ask away. Otherwise, let me check in on. Oops, didn't. Where did that go? Well, you know what? I'm gonna pop out the chat window. Great, love it. So guys, this has happened before. Like people start helping each other, and that's good. So Peter is really active. He's really active inside our Facebook group too. Let's see what I miss. Yuzong Zhang is saying, "Hi Avi, I'm dealing with some budget data. 2 table, 1 revenue table, 1 appropriation table. This do. Hey, okay. So I will try to read your thread, but what I'll say is, if you can provide me like a sample file, that really, really helps. And the easiest way to share, that's what I tell my students, is just share it through OneDrive, Dropbox, G Drive, and just share a link. But let me see. What? Oh my God! Hey guys, everybody just stop. Wait. My Excel Online is here. Awesome. This is, sorry, I've forgotten your name now. John, is it? Who? John, yes. Hello, my friend. I'm not sure if you have talked ever, but yeah. Were you there at the MVP Summit? Sorry, I'm getting a little sidetracked, but excited to have you here. Oh, guys, we have a celebrity amongst us. myexcelonline.com. Check it out, eh? All right, so let me, what was I going to do here? Here, I was going to get to Yuzong Zhang's question. So, guys, 2444, I'll just say Zhang. Oh, did I miss? I think I missed. Okay, so he's asking about, I'll just say budget data. So again, if you can specify a test file, that'll be great. Okay. Hi, Avi, I'm dealing with some budget data. Woohoo! Finance and Power BI. Go like peanut butter and jelly. 2 tables. Only one should remain standing, right? Let's do a cage match. No, just kidding. 1 revenue table. Okay, 1 appropriation table. Now, boy, I've worked with finance folks for quite a while. I'm not, there's something on my face. It feels like, I'm not exactly sure what appropriation is, but it's something, let's say. Okay, appropriation, okay. And index is sum of revenue divided by appropriation. It displays well for each state in US. That's good. Just, yeah, don't worry, I make all the typos when I'm typing as well. But I want to normalize a measure among all states. Okay. But BI doesn't allow me to do calculation with measures. So basically I want to calculate index average index, standard index for each state. Ooh, I think I need a little more info here. Appropriation is like how you plan to spend your budget. Okay. That makes sense. So it's not, is it budget? I mean, I see budget versus actual versus forecast all the time. So I'm not sure if appropriation is like budget that's committed. Or is it just kind of budget? So Microsoft, they would set out at the beginning of the year. They would say, hey, here's what your budget to spend. This is our plan, and then it would be actual. Okay. Jazista, I see a question. Let me help. We have the realized data. Okay. So I'm thinking when you say realized, you mean what I call actual. Sorry, I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not a finance guy, so I've just picked up. It's just rubbed off on me. So let's go with that. Actually, you know, in one sense, it doesn't kind of matter. I mean, we just appropriation. We're just trying to, let's go with appropriation budget. But help me out with the measure a little bit. So I get sum of revenue by appropriation. I mean, not technically. So again, I know you're trying to kind of type and it's hard. But let's say if that was something like revenue, and it's probably sum of appropriation. That's something, and I'm not really sure what this is. So you know what? If you can just paste the measure that's not working and with the error message. Okay, hey, all right. Some revenue. Perfect, awesome. So, but yeah, tell me this one, the one that's not working. No, it's okay. So Yuzong is saying my mistake. No worries, man. I mean, yeah, it's not easy to kind of type this stuff. So, I know. So help me out with this. If you can just go to your model, copy it, paste it here. And we'll see. So typically, if I was working with you, I would look at the relationship diagram. That's often the first thing I do. But okay, so I'll wait for that. Let's see if you can answer something really quick. Budget data, Andre is asking about best practices hacks. So sorry, I might not have the full context. Andre, if you have a specific question like best practices around what? Because there's so much in Power BI, gosh. Audi Christia is talking to Peter. It's called flow. So it's not power flow? Meh. I think it was powerful at some point. Anyway. Mm, mm, mm. Oh well, I don't know why I was hunting for John's name, myexcelonline.com. However, he said, "Hey, Avi, John here." I guess I just saw myexcelonline.com and got really excited. Uh, okay, Adi it is. My name is pronounced same as yours, but with D from door instead of V. There we go, my friend. Almost homonyms, eh? Homonyms, is that it? It's got here pretty soon. Srinivas has a good question. Can I email it to you? Well, you can post it in the Facebook group. That's what I prefer. Email I try to avoid because then I'm not sure what your expectation is, that if it's private or not. If you post it on John, oh gosh, you guys are having fun. Oh, you don't have a OneDrive account? If you have G Drive, Dropbox, any of that works. But make sure you don't send me any sensitive data because I'm going to put it on YouTube. Okay, let's take some of the other ones. Who was this? This was Andre. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm gonna wait for Zhang to send in the question there. Let's go to something else. Oops, didn't mean to do that. I say let's pick up something fun. I liked Srinivas's earlier question. Oops. Well, so it's a long sentence. Well, trying to say it. So, what caught my eye in Srinivas's comment was this part, like SQL guys, right? And guys, there's so much buried in there. And believe me, I have talked with Matt Allington and all these other folks. We've had long conversations about this. So SQL, those people, that community, they're kind of closed. And it's very easy to find them. They do these SQL Saturdays and blah and all that stuff, right? But I'm not a SQL guy. I mean, I know SQL. I learned it. But I would never call myself a SQL guy. I was more as a business analyst. And here's the thing. So if I want to find people like me, it's kind of hard. A lot of us, maybe a lot of us joining on this call, do similar stuff, but we identify ourselves very differently. Usually we identify more on, like, I'm a finance guy, I'm a marketing guy, but essentially if you look at what we do day to day, it looks similar. At least if you, kind of take us back, let's say 5 years, most of us would spend a lot of time in Excel, but we'd never identify ourselves as Excel people. It just doesn't happen. You're not going to go to a meeting. There's no Excel Saturday, as far as I know, and you wouldn't go to somewhere and you wouldn't say I'm an Excel guy or something like that. But SQL people always identify as that. So I think that makes it a little harder to find our community. So Srinivas, I hear you, but so I appreciate it. So I would assume you're in India, and it is what, like 1 a.m.? So if you're up and joining me right now, that's great. But I think that's the great part, that you can just meet online. I mean, that's what I have loved. The last I checked, I had 280 students across 24 different countries. And they're from everywhere, Mideast, Australia, New Zealand, South America now. For a long time, I didn't have anybody from South America, and then one joined, and then one more joined. Costa Rica was one of my first students. So, yeah, you're not constrained by those boundaries. You can connect, form, do whatever you want. There are plenty of online groups. There is a global Power BI user group. And yeah, so see what works for you. Of course, so you can always find a way. And personally, I will say that I really struggled with this online format. Even now, it does feel kind of a little awkward, right? Where we're kind of chatting with messages. Inside my class, I'm happy that I'm able to create a more intimate environment because at least we're just talking over the phone. And sometimes students share webcams, which, by the way, I love. I love it when they turn on the webcam. It just makes me feel like I'm not the only one on the call. So there's a bit of a challenge there. I've struggled with that myself, but you can kind of get over it. I mean, of course, with me and Matt, we try to get together once every quarter and have a talk. And he's such an amazing guy. I mean, he shares a lot of details about his business and what's going on and what he's seeing in the industry. It's so selfless, right? I mean, and of course, that encourages me to do the same. So, me and Matt has been a great connection. And because of that, we're co-presenting a session. Where did that go? At Microsoft. I couldn't be more excited. And in fact, well, I mean, I have done one session with him in the past, so I know. I mean, last one I definitely enjoyed. So I think those boundaries don't matter as much. And man, you can find your tribe, my friend. Go for it. Okay. All right. So let's see. Let me check in on the comments and see. Hello from South America, Bogota. Okay. Hopefully I'm saying it right. Alberto Nino. Peter, I'll link in the detail on it. The Facebook link in the description box seems broke. Oh no, that's a problem. Oh, you know what? Yuzong, where are you calling from? So just for you, my friend, let's try this. I've never tried this, but see if you can call me on. Should I put my number up? Sure, why not? Yeah, let's just do it. So if it's easier, let's see if you can call me. All right, what do you guys do? Okay, got it. Rick. Okay. Hey, Rick, I got your question, but yeah, usually I miss the chat. So if you have something, it's easier to unmute.
Sure, Avi, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, go ahead.
Hey, thanks. It's a formatting question. I've got
Okay.
a number of charts that if you display the legend, it'll have multiple colors per row, basically, in a bar or a column chart. Okay. What I'd like to do is have that same methodology or that same capability, but then turn the legend off, because a lot of times the data set's going to change over time, and I know I can assign colors manually per value, but I just, if one record falls off, what happens to the new record that comes back on? So that's the part I'm struggling.
So you want to turn the legend off, is that right? I
do, because in a lot of cases it ends up being, it might be an account name, it might be other things, and it just ends up scrolling like crazy. Okay. And it doesn't add a lot of value to the chart.
Got it. Oops. Got it. So you want to turn the legend off, essentially to save space. About right?
It's partly that, but it's
not
also
make it look cluttered.
Yeah, I mean, in some cases we have some account names that are fairly long, and so therefore only, I might have 10 or 12 values in the bar chart, and only one shows up in the legend. That doesn't make much sense.
Only one shows up because there was only space to show one. Right?
Yeah, there's only space.
Too long.
People have to scroll back and forth. I'm trying to make it simple.
Got it. But then if you don't show the legend, what do you expect them to do? Just hover over something, or are you going to show the legend like on a side in a table? Sometimes you can, I don't know. Yeah.
No, when I say the legend is, so you've got the access information. It's going to tell you what the account name is.
Uh-huh.
So this is not a good chart to show because it's, do you have a bar chart?
Yeah.
There you go. So there's an example right there. You've got, well, that's a multiple bar.
Yeah, hold on. So if we do this, and you're saying, are you using different color for different items? Okay, wait.
I'd like to, but I'd like the system to auto-assign it because those values when they're account names, they could be on an opportunity list, for example. I might have an account or an opportunity name that shows up this month, but then it falls off for the next month. Okay.
Okay.
So I'd like to be able to have some differentiation between, with colors to help, with the visual.
Yeah.
I'm just not quite sure how to do it without installing a legend, and I prefer not to have a legend.
Okay. Actually, help me out. How do you show a legend here?
So first of all, go to the values area. I'm sorry.
Okay, got it. Okay. Okay.
So in the legend, just grab a category or grab a field and put it in there. So for example, it'd be
Something
category.
like
You might
this.
drop in there.
Oops. I'm not sure what I did. Is that?
I mean, that's basically what it is.
I didn't expect that. I didn't expect a rainbow. I mean, my daughter would be pleased.
Yeah, I think on the axis you have to put both category and subcategory and take the legend off.
Let's try. Okay, let's try that. See the subcategory, and then.
So if you put category into the legend, it will now automatically assign a color.
Oh, okay, got it. Let's try something else. Something like this. Is that what your chart is?
Well, that's actually a little bit different. No, let me see if I can find my.
And you can share your screen if you like.
Yeah, give me a second here, if you don't mind.
No, no worries. I mean, I might have a solution for you. I'm not sure if it's going to work 100%.
All right. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah, hold on. Okay, it should pop up something on your side asking you to share.
Okay.
Yep, I can see it. Perfect. Okay.
Okay. So this particular one right here, for example, what I'm trying to avoid is, I don't need the names of the people up on top here because they show here.
Yeah.
But the only way I can get a multiple color is to have the full name in the legend. If I turn it off, then it goes like this. Now, what happens if Garrett, for example, next week or next month has 0, and there's a bunch of other people that come onto this chart?
Yeah.
That's what I'm referring to.
Okay, so I want to answer that. But before that, let me ask you, why do you think it's important for them to show in a different color?
It's just a visual. It's just a preference.
Okay, I will say though that I'm not great at visualization. Pretty much all I do is I parrot Stephen Few, and yeah. So what he would say, if I were to channel my inner Stephen Few, is that he says everything should be intentional. Like color, if you use color, it should convey something. And
okay.
So again, I mean, just my 2 cents, and we will talk about how you can try to solve what you want to solve. But I'll question that a little bit. Like, what do you need? I mean, it's you have the names right there. The color doesn't add more information, doesn't convey anything more. Okay, so put that aside, and let's bring back the color in there. And so do the full name legend, so they're in different colors. Now again, this might like blow up in our face, but if you click on the arrow on the legend, you know that small drop arrow thing? Yep, yeah. You can turn on show items with no data. So if next week Garrett doesn't have 0, he should still show. Although, oh come on, this might be a can of worms, but you're ordering it by. So if you were ordering it alphabetical, so imagine this was a smaller list. This was a list of 10 items or even 20 items, and you sorted it alphabetically, and you said always show items even if they have no data. All 20 would always show in the same order. But now, if you're sorting it by biggest first, then I don't know, if Rick drops to 3rd spot next week, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. So what we just did will ensure that Garrett shows next week, even if Garrett is at 0, but not sure in which spot. Not sure if it'll kind of recognize that if it
Right.
drops to down below. So, gosh, yeah, I'm not sure. This might be worth a try. I mean, you can see how this works with your data. If
Yeah, let
you,
me play with that. I mean, this is all dummy data in here, and I can certainly model it quickly
yeah,
to switch to the month or whatever. But
yeah,
yeah, I was just curious. This is more of a formatting thing. It's more, an end user request, and I'm still fairly new to Power BI. So,
yeah,
if it's not the best practice to do it that way with multiple colors, I mean, I'm fine with that.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean that's always a slippery slope. We've had some discussions inside the class where, I mean, there was once when, frankly, I stood corrected, where we were having the discussion where the students said they had a insane demand, and I'll say what it was, but uh, and I said, oh yeah, I know all about it. When you're working with executives, you just got to do what they ask you to do, and blah blah blah. And one of my students called me out, and he said, well, Avi, I mean, he didn't say it that way, but to me, like, come on, grow a spine. So the request, by the way, was imagine numbers coming in, and it's like 22.5, 22.7, and they wanted to round it to, oh boy, they wanted to round it down and then redistribute if it didn't add up to 100. That kind of stuff. It was pretty
okay.
insane. I mean, and could be done. I was showing how you can potentially solve it, but I agreed with the student who called me out and said that's not a reasonable request. So this one is not that unreasonable, but you can still go back to them and say, hey, I mean, it's according to the best guidelines, best practices. Let's be intentional about color. When color we show color, it means something. It conveys something.
So let me ask a follow-up question if I can.
Sure.
Let's assume that the different people in here are in a different territory or branch office.
Yeah.
Would it make sense to assign a physical color to that user based on their office or territory?
Ooh, now you're talking. Yeah. You want to try that? Is there a field in there that you can throw in, which is something like, yeah, that would make sense. And
Yeah, I can do it by territory. I mean,
and of
that
course,
part I think I
if
can
you
kind of.
yeah, and if you do that, you don't have to worry about Getter dropping off, right? Am I right? I think.
I mean, we do have
So.
a limited set of sales reps, so we've got maybe about 50 or 60 nationwide.
Yeah,
So
but
that
if
wouldn't
you
be
do it by
difficult.
territory, you're not caring about does Rick show up this week, does Audrey show up this week. No, you're just saying territory, and then you say, oh, this territory is this color, this territory is this color, and I think it's gonna be sticky. I think so. Give it a try. If that doesn't work,
I will.
yeah, all right, pretty cool.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely, good stuff.
Do I need to do anything to
I'll
give this
yank it
back?
back from you. Yeah. Okay, there we go.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, my friends, let's go back to. Was there another question? So, Dennis, I see your question on the phone. Let me see what you're saying. Ooh. Yes. What do you think, guys? This is a good one. All right, let's take this. And so we'll say 004701. All right, so general question about complex DAX. How to read them and write them. I seem to be able to get the short DAX expressions, but when they become more complex, I get lost. So, Dennis, we've probably spoken, and I've probably forgotten, but yeah, and if you want to talk, are you from a SQL background by any chance?
No,
Okay. Whew. Okay.
definitely not.
Okay, so so I generally see this with people with SQL background, and I did know SQL, and so I can relate to that. I can see where they're coming from. So let me talk about that a little bit, and then we'll talk about how. So SQL, everything is pretty much a query, and at least that's how I see the world. So when SQL folks come into Power BI, they discover DAX, and I see DAX as I'm writing measures, but say they see DAX as a query language, which is kind of true. You can use DAX as a query language. I wouldn't say I've ever mastered that, and they write so SQL queries, I did write SQL queries which were pages long, pages long. That's just the way it works. I mean, you write a whole big procedure and it's like one thing after the other. And they would do the same thing with here. I couldn't do it, and frankly, I don't get it. So it's very rare that I write a big complex measure. So one approach that I take is I build things in Lego blocks. So if you would see me solve a complex problem, I solve like a really small piece, and that would be my kind of, let's say, measure 1. And I say, okay, I solved that. Let me do measure 2, and then maybe measure 3 is some combination of measure 1 and measure 2. And of course, combination can be anything. It can be kind of nested or something like that. And so I build it that way, so it never really feels complex to me. Like, I solve this problem and I move on, solve this problem and I move on. But sometimes it is somewhat wordy. So my favorite tool is, courtesy of the Italians, the amazing Italians, Alberto Ferrari and Marco Russo, DAX Formatter. So I would use this to pretty it up, and I wish I had a complex DAX formula which I could just paste here, but it makes it look really pretty. Nicely formats it, gives it color. Actually, now Power BI Desktop has color too, so that's not that huge a deal. So that helps. What else can help with complex? I seem to be able to get this short. Okay, all right. So let's see, what else can I say? And the other approach that I talk about is that when I'm, man, I wish I had examples for this, but yeah, I think building in Lego blocks, that's probably the best advice I can give. When you run into a complex example, I don't know, especially one which you're not able to solve, definitely bring it up in the class or in the Facebook group, and I'll take a shot at it. And sometimes when I'm working with a client, I feel slightly embarrassed because I feel like they can kind of see that there's no secret sauce. I mean, I would jump with them and I would ask them questions. I would often slow them down. Okay, let me make sure I get that. And another thing that I say is that human learning comes before machine learning. So sometimes I would jump on them and they would say, "Oh, I need to remove garbage data," and I'm having trouble with that. And I go, I have no idea what that means, right? I mean, so you got to really break it down, and that's what I do, and I break it down step by step and do it. So yeah, it's I take a very step-by-step approach. That seems to help me. Sorry, yeah, it's kind of hard to go deeper without an example, and I can't think of a good one right now. But generally, that would be my advice. Anything else? If you folks have any other ideas, let me know. Cool. So yeah, hey, on the phone, if you're on the phone, it's easiest if you unmute if you do want to talk, because I'm also watching the YouTube chat and it gets kind of crazy. Okay, so Srinivas is saying, I agree with this question. I'm also in the same boat. I'm not sure that I can write a DAX measure confidently to calculate for absolutely returning customers before I die. What? Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Well, you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the discussion that I was having with Matt. And you know what, guys? Oh, actually, you know what? I have the perfect example. So let me pull up. So I was talking earlier how me and Matt, the session we were presenting, I'll pull up the abstract that we finally shared. Just give me 1 second. You guys are gonna like this. This is good. Live calls. Oops. So all right. So you see a little bit under the hood, but what we were talking about here is this stuff that it's easy to get started, but if you're self-taught, you often miss out on some basic stuff. It's like building a house without the foundation. If you can do that, sure. I mean, you just go on there, find a piece of land and start building a house. But if you never did the foundation, you're not gonna have fun, right? It's probably gonna break down before it's done. So you keep running into problems. And we see that, guys. I mean, this is not like a sales pitch. I mean, we see this all the time. So, Matt wrote this, and I love this. And to say the first time you realize you're in trouble is when you can't write a complex DAX formula. And sure, you can blame it on DAX or you don't know enough DAX, but often when we step in, we realize that it's got nothing to do with complex DAX. And I'm going to show you a real example from our yesterday's Q&A call, right? So if you're hitting stuff like this, maybe it's time to take a different approach. And so, of course, that's what me and Matt are saying, that you got to kind of go and focus on the basics, and that's what we're going to teach you in the pre-con session. And frankly, that's what we teach in both of our courses anyway. So let me give you an example of what happened yesterday. I just want to make sure I don't have any last names there. Okay, cool. Oh, this is good. Paul had a question on our yesterday's Q&A call with amongst the students, and I'll show you the question, and it like syncs right up with what me and Matt are talking about here. So Paul came in really putting it as a DAX question. It's like, oh, you got to do this. Should I use this function, that function? And so look at, just focus on this part, right? So imagine somebody came to you and, well, I can't even fit in a screen when I zoom in, but you're saying, oh, I got this and I need to solve this, right? It's not working. What do I do? Well, the way we solved it was we used a calendar table, and really the only DAX we needed was count rows. That's pretty much it, right? So sometimes it's that. I'm not saying always. Sure, there's complex DAX out there. I mean, there's stuff that, yeah, but not always. So don't give up hope. I have this theory of push versus pull learning. So the 80-20 rule, 20% of the stuff, which is the core concepts that I believe in, give you 80% of the return. And it's better to have that be pushed to you in a course, in a book, whatever is your preferred way of learning. 2-day class, hey, if you like those, sure, right? But once you have that 20% that gets pushed to you, the rest you can pull very easily. It's a Google search away. I mean, I'm working with clients. These are paying me good money, and I'm on a screen share with them. I just hop on a Google, like, oh, let me Google this stuff. That's okay. We all do it. So Matt has this saying, I don't want to give too much away, but, yeah, so he talked about sometimes he sees a question on the forum, and he would take 2 days to solve it, and then go there and say, hey, here's your answer. So sometimes you don't see it of what's going on behind, but yeah, it's okay to feel a little off balance, but if your concepts are well grounded, you should be able to get it down. Okay, Yuzong Zhang, go ahead and call. I've never tried it before. If it works, that's great. Can I beatbox? No. was that aimed at me? Let's see. So Eric is saying you second that. So Eric, yeah. So I see some of the students on the line on the YouTube as well, and that's great. Just know that you can also kind of call in. That's totally up to you. If you're just listening in, of course, YouTube is fine. Peter is helping out Shabi. I even missed the question. Okay, cool. Srinivas can't sleep. Okay, so Srinivas had another question. So, Yuzong, if you can call in, we'll talk, see if that'll help. Otherwise, I was gonna look at some of the other questions. So let's go to Srinivas. What time is it? 8:54. In what way Power BI is powerful than Power Pivot except the visualization capabilities? Guys, it's not a matter of one versus the other. It is the same thing. It's I can't think of a good analogy right now, but I was talking to some friends the other day, and I was explaining to them what happens in India on our Independence Day. Well, everybody gets up on the roofs and flies kites, right? So I don't know if they still do that. At least when I was growing up. So this is like asking, should I fly my kite from this roof or the other roof? Who cares? Your kite is going to be up in the air. Doesn't matter, right? Just Power BI, Power Pivot. It's about the power is in the model, and as far as the modeling capabilities go, they're there in Excel in terms of Power Pivot and Power Query, and they're there in Power BI in terms of the query editor and the model. So it's the same. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you're in Excel, use Excel. If you don't care much about Excel, never used it, just use Power BI Desktop. And guess what? Doesn't matter which modeling tool you use, you can still have Excel reports connected to it or Power BI reports connected to it. I mean, you can build an Excel Power Pivot model and have publish it to PowerBI.com and then have Power BI reporting with all the awesome visualization. So I would say, I'm going to try to bring up one of the diagrams that I show. So hopefully that helps. Oh, Eric is on the phone. Doesn't want to ruin my group. No worries. Let's see if I missed something. So let's see if there's something else there. Let's do this one. This looks easy. Andre, I hope you're still there. 59. We're in a fiscal year starting October 1. So I don't care much about the automatic calendar. I assume you're talking about the DAX calendar. Not a huge fan of that, right? Because I really feel that you should do your cooking in the kitchen, right? So by cooking, I mean all the clean, shape, transform, and prepping data. That needs to happen in the kitchen, which is the query editor. It's not DAX. So if you ask me, gosh, I don't think you should ever build a date table in DAX. Yes, they made it really easy, but that's not, I don't think it's worth it. So if you go on my channel and download the calendar table, I'm going to use that. Let me pull it up. Let me just pull it up and see if I can share that. And then I'll point you where you can find it. Mini course calendar table. Yeah, you can't see it, but I'm navigating my folder structure. If you have seen it in previous calls, I'm a bit of a pack rat when it comes to folders and stuff. But anyway, here it is, the calendar table. And fiscal year starting date is trivial. No matter what I do, my Jan, Feb, March is still in Q1. Oh, come on, my friend. That should be easy to fix. If you use my calendar table. Yeah. No, I didn't. Okay, cool. So yeah, that sounds like a 20th century problem, right? How come we're still in the 21st century and still not do that? All right, so you know what? Let me show actually first where to find it. So if you go on my channel, and playlists are a great way to start. So there's one on the tutorial. That's a great way to start if you're just starting on a journey. But the ultimate calendar table has got 5 lessons here. Inside my course, there are more lessons. I go deeper into this topic, but this is kind of all you need for your thing. And it has a link to download the calendar and how to use it and all that stuff. So that's where you find it. But let's come in here and let's, it already has a concept of fiscal calendar. But the one that I used was Microsoft, starts in July, but it's really easy to change. But let me just show you how that fiscal calendar looks like right now, and then I'll show you what happens when you change it, right? So fiscal year, oh wow, nice. Come on. So here you can see what I'm showing here is on this side is my fiscal year. This side is my calendar year, and at the bottom you have the actual months. Fair enough, right? So notice what happens when I say, so again, my fiscal year is Microsoft's right now, so I expect that to start in July. So if I click on this, well, maybe, oh, sorry, let me sort it. It's not sorted. sort by month here. Did that work? Hold on, let me see what's going on. Why isn't it sorting correctly? Oh. Oops. Let's go fiscal month. Oh, fiscal month year. Ah, a bug in my ultimate calendar table. It's kind of hard when you call something ultimate and it doesn't work. Okay. Here we go. So here you see that I selected FY18 and it starts in July 17, right? And this one starts in July 16. But we're going to change that. So you said your month starts in October. So this is just the calendar year. It starts in January, goes through October. So we're going to change that. And again, the YouTube videos show you exactly how to do it. It's really easy. All you do is you just come in here, copy, and paste it in your model. But then over here, there's some key things here. So there's this part which says, okay, that's just, so it says start date, end date, current date. And notice this part which is fiscal year end month, like which is the last month. And in this case, for Microsoft, it was 6. June was the last month. And in your case, it's going to be September, which is 9. Did I do that right? Sometimes when I'm live, I kind of lose my mind. Like, oh, September the 9th month. So I say 9, and now I expect that the calendar is going to reflect that. So FY, and we'll just let it load and check it really quick. Isn't that exciting part? I'm like, oh, is it going to work? Is it going to work? Okay, so let's zoom in here. And we're going to click FY18. And bingo, starts in October. But your question was different. Your question was, does it do the quarters correctly? So let's see that. Are you excited about that? I'm super excited about that. So this one is actually a drill down. So fiscal year, and then it has fiscal quarter. So let's drill down. Let's drill down on FY18. Oh gosh, I'm so excited. Q1. Well, I want something which has all 4 quarters. FY17. This has all 4 quarters. Are you ready? Right? So fiscal quarter 1 should be October, November, December. This better work, otherwise I would be embarrassed. Oh my God, look at that. So yeah, fiscal quarter 1, October, November, December. Yeah, hey, I don't call it the ultimate calendar for nothing. January, February, March. So yep, all you had to do was just change that one thing. Let me know if that helped. What was this? Yes. Okay, let me scan for other question. Peter has this lingering one, which I copied earlier, which was a comment to his earlier question about the standard deviation. Maybe we'll go back to that. All right, I'll check in on the phone real quick. These are awfully polite. Let's see, because sometimes you send me a chat message. So, okay. Oh, of course. James, thank you. So in here, on Dennis's question about the complex one, using variables. You know, I will say it's not the first thing I reach for, because I was using DAX for a long time, since 2009, and variables kind of came in late. So I had already kind of evolved I had adapted myself to work a certain way, and then variables came. So I don't use them as much maybe as I should. So variables are pretty cool. I am a huge fan of them. Just one word of warning, that variables are actually constants. Yes. So if you have seen them at work, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you're probably saying, what? But believe me, yeah, it's kind of a mind bend. So James, thank you so much for that tip. Really appreciate that. Okay, got it. Okay, Roberto has a question. Let's see. I may want to get back to. Oops. So Eric, it showed me a message that did you want to be a presenter? I'm not sure if you hit the button by mistake, but yeah, by all means, if you want to present, you can.
Oh,
So
it was a mistake.
okay, no worries.
My bad.
Roberto, QE when some Excel has an NA, just stop it, dude. Huh. So Roberto, tell me more about this. Oh, it's in Power Query?
Yeah, Berkeley. Actually, I'm using some Excel file where people make
Yeah.
VLOOKUP, and when the values does not match, when values don't match,
Yeah.
the NA appears. And actually, Query Editor is not able to handle. So
Yeah.
you need to find out which column is giving you the error. Usually is the one that you are going to for joining, and remove errors.
Yeah.
The file I'm handling is about 120,000 rows, so it's impossible to scroll.
Yeah. Oh,
So
and
you just have to go on the column and remove errors. That's it.
so wait. So is something not working for you, or you just sharing
Yeah,
that tip?
it worked. No, it worked. It worked.
Okay, got it. Okay. So yeah,
So
I
you have
mean,
to clean. You have to clean up
yeah.
the query editor before.
Yep, yeah. So I usually do it two ways. So in the main table, I will say remove errors. That way I don't worry about that. But then of course I want to see like which are the error rows. So I load it in a separate table, and then I can
Yeah,
focus
but I
on.
can. Yeah, but I cannot remove rows. I need just to remove errors. So to replace the values in that column that has errors,
Okay.
errors, unknown values.
Okay. So sorry, I'll ask again. So is it something that you're stuck at, or no? You got it figured
No,
out.
no, no. I saw it. Yeah, I figured out.
Awesome. Great. Okay. All right, guys. Let's. How are my friends on YouTube hanging out? So, sorry, I wasn't scrolling. I don't know. This window is so weird. Sorry, I wasn't scroll down. Um, you can use store procedures. Whatever. Okay, Srinivas was hit by the mastering DAX bug 4 years ago. Uh, hmm. So I'm not sure. So Andre, you were saying a lot of things. I'm not a huge fan of quick measures. Actually, I don't like them at all. I often say quick measures are a quick way to nowhere because that's the most horrible way to learn DAX if that's what somebody's trying to do. I'm not saying you're trying to do that, but I mean it helps, but it helps users who are like, nope. But I don't like it because it's it's not a great way to learn DAX, and uh, you're going to be stuck eventually anyway. You know, you inevitably, any realistic model will hit a point where quick measures aren't going to cut it, and then what do you do? So it's okay. I mean, it's not for uh, the folks that I usually work with who are Power BI modelers. Their job is to create Power BI models for others to use. Uh, so yeah, um, so I'm not sure automatic. Like I wouldn't use automatic calendar anywhere. It's why not have more control? I mean, so typically when I talk about modeling, I say my model is my tempo. Everything I create by hand, kind of, right? With love, with a lot of love, intention, and thought, and everything is crafted. I usually forget, but I always advise others that I turn off the automatic relationship detection. I don't like that. I want to control. I want to be very specific. I want to know which relationships are being created, right? So, and so no automatic calendar for me. Why wouldn't I want to control? I want to have complete control over the calendar, and I think the best place to get that is using the query editor. That's the kitchen of your Power BI. That's where you should do all the cooking. So no automatic calendar, not a huge fan of quick measures. I mean, if you use it, great. It's just as long as you kind of understand what you're doing. And if you have multiple fields, that's not a problem at all. I mean, that's a pretty standard solution. There are a few different ways you can solve that. In this example already, I have calendar and there are multiple date fields, and there are two ways you can solve it. You can have this inactive relationship, solve it in DAX, or have a kind of a copy of a calendar table. So all of that is solvable. Yeah. Oh, okay. Seems like you were coming from Tableau. I wouldn't really know how it works in Tableau. I don't know. I mean, my understanding of Tableau is that it doesn't really have this under the hood strength. Sure, it's, I mean, visualization side, it lets you do some things very easily. But as a modeler, as a data modeler, I really want ultimate control. I want to be able to control every single piece of it. And this thing is mind-blowingly incredible, right? I mean, this is what lets me craft my model with love and have it just precisely the way I want it. Yeah, I know, I get it. It's kind of hard, but starting out and sometimes like, oh, why shouldn't it be easy? But I like this. I like this approach. So it gives you a lot of strength. I mean, I've heard from Tableau users who say they use Power Query to do a lot of their data cleanup, and then they feed their data in Tableau. And that's okay. That's cool. But yeah, so I would, I think all the things you're mentioning, they're pretty solvable. Oh, good question, my friend. On there. Okay, cool. Anything on the phone before I gonna move on to the next thing, next shiny object? Okay. So Yuzong, if you're still on, sorry, we couldn't kind of get to it. You can do one of three things. You can either base this actual measure. If you do that, maybe that will be enough for me to go from there, right? And I think that's the easiest. So just base, not you type like a version of it, but the actual measure that you have in there, base that. If you can share a file through OneDrive, G Drive, Dropbox, you can do that. Or I've never tried this before, but you can try calling me on this number, 425-954-7464. We'll see. I think it'll work. I actually, yeah, we'll see. All right, so dates here to date. Okay. Are we ready? Let's do this. And three. Let's go here. So Andre's question is a good one. What is the role of DAX Studio in regards to Power BI? Do you use it, and how? DAX Studio is one of those tools, another one of those tools by the Italians. They're so amazing. It's crazy, right? Yeah. What I learned from them is give freely. Give freely, my friend. It'll all come back to you. So DAX Studio. Actually, I should be more precise. So DAX Studio actually has more contributors. I'm pretty sure Italian's involved, but it has other contributors too. But yeah, that's great. That's another thing that I love about this community. There's such amazing stuff in here. If you haven't checked out, PowerBI.tips is gonna blow your mind. There's an advanced theme generator here. There are custom layouts that you can just download and use, and it's gonna look so sexy. Look at this. So you can have just out of the box a dashboard that looks like this. So that's PowerBI.tips, DAX Studio, a Codeplex project. I'm sure multiple contributors. So I'll tell you how I use it though. So again, I have the business user hat on. So I would say typically, very rarely do I reach for DAX Studio. But I'll tell you when I do reach for it. So I reach for it for documenting my model. I reach for it for dumping the measures, which is kind of the same thing, I guess. What else do I use it for? I have used it rarely for performance. I don't know what to call it, like debugging performance issues with a measure. So my typical, okay, fine, I use it for. So let's open up DAX Studio. First of all, I love DAX Studio because it lets me illustrate the concept that when I'm teaching, that essentially this Excel Power Pivot and Power BI desktop, or frankly the server as well, or SSAS Tabular are essentially the same thing. So I usually just bring up Power BI DAX Studio and I say, look guys, it can connect to either one of these. Why? Because they're pretty much the same, right? So that is important to know. They're pretty much the same, you know, so you can take one skills and take it on under different platforms. Very easy. But what I would do is I would connect to it, and then I would use the DMV stuff over here. I go to DMV and I just go to MD schema. Usually I go to measures. Sometimes if I'm being really diligent, I pull in other stuff as well. But I'll show you this one. And I run the query and it dumps out all the measures for me. And in a real model, I can have hundreds of measures. I've had upwards of 500 measures in a single model. And frankly, if I had continued on the project, I would have crossed 1,000. Measures are a gift from above. What can I say? I love measures. And they're free, you know, they don't add any bloat to your model. I mean, if you keep adding columns, if you added a 500 plus calculated columns in your model, good luck to you, my friend. So yeah, but measures are nearly free, I would say. Yeah, I mean, certainly compared to calculated columns, they don't like cost anything. So I would take all my measures and then I would change this output to a CSV file, and then I'll dump this in a file. Then I'll do the same thing with you know, to kind of get a list of tables, get a list of relationships, and I'll dump it in a folder, and then I'll suck it all into where did I go? Oh, that's me. Hey, so I'll suck it all in using Power Query, and create a model documentation. Right. So that's the typical way I use. Sometimes I'm just in a hurry and I just want to dump on measures and kind of grab them. I do that. Yeah, I'm not, and very rarely have I stepped into kind of debugging performance. And of course, you can't do it anywhere else. I mean, it's so hard to do it in like a raw. The only other option, if you weren't using DAX Studio, was the kind of the, what is it called, the SQL monitor, debugger, something. I don't even remember now. SQL, let's see, SQL Profiler. Yeah. But this is far better than Profiler. So I wrote over time, as I was trying to tweak the performance, I wrote about at least 20 different variations of the same measure in my quest to improve performance. And I tested each one and saw how it was doing. I tried to understand how it was scanning the tables and so forth. So DAX Studio was, yeah, I mean, I couldn't have done it without it. So that was one scenario. So yeah, I don't use it that often. Of course, a lot of times how I see others using it is that they write their DAX query in here. But again, guys, I don't get it. And sure, you can say that maybe I'm the clueless one. But a lot of stuff that I see people doing in DAX query, I just ask why. Like, why would you even bother when you have the whole kitchen to do your cooking, you know? And it's got so many advantages over anything DAX query can do. I mean, sure, there are scenarios where that's what you have to use, but there are very specific scenarios. There are exceptions rather than the rule. So yeah, all your cooking should be in the kitchen. This is where it should be. So I see others doing DAX query. I really haven't used that. All right, Yuzong is still on, and I think did he paste the formula? Ooh, let's see. Okay. Yeah, hey, I can help you with that. So guys, Srinivas has a good question. I like it. 2416. He's asking about free version of SSAS. Get the developer edition. It's free. I think I use it. Yeah, I think I use developer edition. Like, it's, yeah, if you're not deploying it to production, get the developer edition free. Don't have to do anything. Okay, cool. So hopefully, yeah. So obviously, you don't even need that to practice Power Pivot, because that's what I was talking about when I talked about DAX Studio, right? Where it says connect. If you learn DAX in here inside Excel, it's the same DAX in the tabular server. So yeah, sure, there's some other stuff that's different and blah blah, but that's the heart of it. And you know, I love that. I love you can take your skills, whether you did it in Excel Power Pivot or Power BI or SSAS Tabular. So that was my journey, by the way. I worked in Excel Power Pivot. That was the only thing around back then. And then SSAS Tabular came along. And so I was a business user. I didn't want to do anything with SSAS. It sounds so geeky, like whatever, SQL Server, Analysis Server. I always thought of it as like a dev, kind of more of a BI thing. And as a business user, I didn't want anything to do with it. But then we kind of outgrew Power Pivot. We needed a lot of features which were only there in the SSAS Tabular. And these are kind of advanced levels, so we grew into it. Our size was pretty big, and I think we needed row-level security, that sort of stuff. And I was so scared of stepping into SSAS Tabular, I avoided that for a long, long time, just kept struggling through Excel Power Pivot. But then when I eventually did, it was so easy. I mean, once I loaded it in there, I'm like, what? That's it? So this is how easy it was when I got around to it. First of all, installing it was so easy. I think before this, I was experimenting with a few different things, and I was burnt by SharePoint installation, which is a beast. It's insanity. But SSAS Tabular, I did a video back in the day. Yeah, less than 30 minutes. So it's a 7-minute video because I speed it up, but I put a clock on there. And you'll see, yeah, it's I have a clock running as I kind of install it end to end, not just install it. I connect a report to it. Look at that. Shit, in the 24th minute, I'm already essentially building a report connected to the SSAS Tabular model. So I love it. It's just simple, easy to set up, and I don't have to learn anything new. So in fact, where did my SQL Server thing go? So you go to once you install it in less than 30 minutes, you go connect to it. And then you say, oh yeah, I would like to restore my Excel Power Pivot model into here, and bingo, you're in business. So pretty cool. I like this one. All right, what else is going on, my friend? So hey, I'll check in on the phone. If you have any questions, let me know. Roberto, gotta go. Yes, that's a good one. I like that one. So Dennis has a question about organizing measures. One of my favorite tricks. Okay, let me scan YouTube really quick. Yizong, I don't have BI installed in this laptop, so can't share right now. Okay, no worries. Gonna call during live or after the live. Let's just join the Facebook group waiting acceptance. Post the file in the Facebook group. If it doesn't have any sensitive data, yeah, post it there. Yep, yeah, you can post a photo. Yeah, folks do that all the time. Yeah, that's gonna work. Okay, so you did. Okay, you did give me a little more clue, so let's see if I can make some progress. Oops, so Srinivas, sorry, I see your comment, but now I've lost the context. Like, I'm not sure which link you're asking for. Trade-offs between modeling and DAX versus Power Query. I didn't I talk about that, gosh? You do your cooking in the kitchen. If you ask me, there's no context. So hold on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write these down. Good question. So this is Zong. And I'll come back to this one. So guys, let's go back to, let's see if we can go back to that. So Okay. So I'm going to read this kind of slowly. So Zhang is saying, I calculate an index. Oh, kind of makes sense. Sum of revenue divided by sum of appropriation. So in my mind, I'm going to change it to actual versus budget. So let's say my actual was, or let's say my budget was $100 and my actual was 200. Then this index would be 2, 200 divided by 100, 200 divided by 100, which is, well, kind of saying, oh, you spent 2 times the money. And if it was, so sorry, you're going to see some of my step-by-step in action. Again, guys, I go really, really slow. I slow down, and so sometimes you got to slow down to speed up. Yeah, it sounds freaky, right? But I think if you slow it down, frankly, that's the only thing that works for me. So I really slow down, like look at examples. So actuals, I'm just going to do another example here. If it was 150, then I'll do 150 divided by 2. So I get some kind of an index. Okay, so I'm getting it. I'm getting the feel of it. And he's saying I can't standardize the index. So here's the thing, what I was talking about. We were talking about earlier, human learning before machine learning, right? I mean, I want to help. I want to have Power BI solve this for Zhang, but you can't do that until you can kind of teach a human. So as I have no idea what that means, what standardizing means, but that's okay because he gave me more. So let me see if I can parse it out. But I'm sorry, I'm thinking out loud so you can see kind of a mental process going in. So right now I'm thinking, oh, human learning, standardized index. How do I do that? So now he's saying because I try average index and failed because average only takes a column, not a measure. Ooh, we might be on to something. So average over, let me go back, each state. I'm going to go with some assumption that you're trying to average it over different states. But it could be states, could be something else, could be months. Let's run with that. And I'm going to keep an eye on if Zhang, like, no, we went the wrong way. Revenue by budget. Okay, looking to my spending. Yeah, perfect. Frankly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what those two measures are. I got it. Hopefully we can solve this for you. So let's go in here. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm so glad we sorted it out. Okay. So let's get actual versus budget. And again, it doesn't matter what those measures are. So we have our sales. Let's do it by country. Let's country, and let's also do it by month. Ooh, I'm excited now. So this one I'm going to make it a table. This one, and if I say size, make it really big. Okay, so now we got actually let's just focus on one for now, but that's the best part about measures. It's define once, use everywhere. Once I solve it for countries, I think I would solve it for, generally you can you solve it for, you just solve it once and then use it everywhere, but let's take it step by step. So okay, so I'm going to get my first measure, sales, and I'm going to put it there. So again, guys, this is kind of how I do it, and it's it's just breaking things down slow by slow. So this is, by the way, what I call this a working pivot. So sometimes in the course you would see me do stuff like this and people say, why the heck would you build something like that? It's silly, right? And I say, yeah, it's silly. It's not supposed to be something you display. When I'm creating a measure, I call it working pivot because I started off in Excel and everything was a pivot table. And now, of course, it's not a pivot table. It's a table, but still that's what I call it. So there's a working pivot. And then there's a display pivot. So display would be how I'm displaying, and that has nothing to do with, I don't even care about it when I'm building the measure. And then there's also a debug pivot. So if my measure goes into trouble, it doesn't work right, then I do a different pivot and I use a different approach for that. I can talk about that later if you want. So right now it's my working pivot, and again, I'm gonna go really, really slow. So I got measure 1, I got measure 2, and I messed something up here. Hold on, let me see if things are connected. Budget. Oh, budget is not connected to country. Oh shoot. Let me do months. It's gonna be the same thing. So of course, in your case, I would assume budget is going to be connected to your country. So let's do month. So we got our month here. Okay, and now let's do the index and modeling, new measure. Actually, I'm gonna do that trick where I'm gonna keep the measures in a separate table, and usually I just come in here, I say enter data, and I hit, and I change the name. Formulas. Did that work? Okay, it's working. Hey, Brujendra. Good to see you here, my friend. You can also call in if you want. It's okay. It's totally cool to hang out on YouTube. But yeah, if you're a student in the class, you can also call in. So I'm going to hide this column because I never needed the column anyway. And now I'm going to define a measure, which is going to be, I don't know why. I try to monitor the YouTube on my phone, but somehow it's like totally croaking on me. And I'll say index equals, yeah, and you know, so I'm big on reuse. I talked about building blocks, and for now I don't, you know, so if I messed it, if I got the numerator wrong, it doesn't matter. Just one divided by the other. You can always flip it. So index, I have that. Let's see it on here. Okay, got that. And yeah, so oh boy. So yeah, I'm not sure what is the scenario where it's not working. Let me go back to Zhang's comments, see if I can find it. Like, what scenario is breaking? One revenue, one table, index, I calculate that, and that displays well for each state in US. But when I want to normalize the measures among all states, it doesn't. So he's trying to do average of that index. Why? I don't get it. Isn't the average? Oh, okay, got it. So frankly, I'm not sure. Like, why would you calculate the average? Oh, okay. I think so essentially you want 0.98, right? You want 0.98 kind of next to it. Oh, you want to compare it? Oh, okay. Maybe I'm getting it. So imagine we just want to compare it with that for the whole year. I want to get a standardized index. I don't think you need to do an average of this. The standardized index is this total. That's all you need. I think. Pretty sure. I'll just go with that, and I'll come back if that's not what you wanted. So let's go new measure, and we'll say, why is okay, let's see. All right, so we'll go here. And we'll say, what is the index for a full year? And I'm going to say calculate. I call it the magic wand, calculate, and index. So again, reuse the measure. Once you've defined it, I never kind of, go into the formula again. So I just reuse it. And I'm just going to say across all months, across all calendar month. Let's try that. Index full year, and And if we do that, what did I do wrong? Index full year. Wow, is that what's going on with Zang? I didn't expect that. I really expected it to be the same number. Why would it not work? Index is sales by budget, and this one says calculate that all index full year. Okay, guys, let's go in debug mode. So I'm gonna say, what if I do sales full year? So Peter, if you see what I'm doing wrong, let me know. What does that do? Yeah, what happened there? Shoot, it's the... How long have you been on the call? Close to 2 hours. I'm a little lost now. Let me see if... So folks on the phone, if you see what I'm doing wrong, why isn't it a repeating number? Why wouldn't this be a repeating number? I'm saying all calendar month. Let's try. Why wouldn't it work? Why wouldn't it work? Calculate sales all calendar month. That works. Why wouldn't the month work? Okay, I'm not sure what's going on. This is I don't get it. Help. This is one of the most basic measures. I've done it so many times. I don't know what's going on. Oh, the 0.98 is easy. 0.98 is just this divided by this. So yeah, that one is pretty easy. Yeah, why isn't this working? I might solve it offline. Let's see if there's anything else. Hey Eric, if you have a question, sorry, it's a long question. You can share your screen too, if that's easier. Let me know if you want to do that.
Yeah, maybe I could just show you a picture of the data model.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it's really a modeling question is essentially how I should go about it.
Got it. So folks on YouTube, I'm really calling for help. Like, help me understand why wouldn't this one give me a repeating number? I was expecting 16 million. So I'll check in with you. Hopefully you have an answer. I'll switch to Eric. So I'm going to make you presenter.
Okay, is it showing? It will show my main screen here.
Okay.
Okay. So essentially the question is, would you advise against using a dimension table that's over 1 million rows long? The reason why I ask this is because these three tables, they're all linked by case ID. This case details, it's
Actually,
unique.
hold on just one second. I just want to make sure I'm ready to take notes.
Okay.
So 44.19. Okay, got it. So you're asking, is it okay to have a lookup table with 1,000,000+ rows? I heard something about case ID. Go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, so my case details table is what I would be using as a dimension table. It's a unique list of the case IDs and their call type, reason for call, that sort of thing. And these down below are essentially transactions of the case. Create, close, dispatched, assigned. I don't want to flatten these tables because, as you say, that's bad. So I want to avoid that. But I was concerned with my lookup table being super big because normally they're not that many rows, right?
Yeah. Well, let's so so case details. Just roughly, how many rows do you have right now with your current data set?
There is 1,070,000.
Okay, let's say 1,000,000. And what about the case, the process, the transaction thing? That's the transaction, right? Or case
Yeah.
activity? Which one is it? Sorry.
Case activity, that's like 5 million plus rows, because that's a transaction of each case in case details.
So is case activity the one that has kind of created, closed, dispatched, assigned? Is it that?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, and that is 5 million. And okay, let's focus on those two. How many columns does case detail have? Just roughly, 10, 15, 20.
Let's see. Maybe 12.
12. Okay. And what about case activity?
There's, I think, just 5.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna take back presenter
Okay.
and let's see. So yeah, I do say that flattening is bad, but I'm talking about flattening like everything, I mean, having one flat table, data and lookup table. So typically, I think of when I'm starting out, I just say data table is like a business process, and it's usually I sales that swipe with a card, ka-ching. I don't know. In my mind, it's that there's something that goes ka-ching, right? It could be somebody called and entered a case, right? Maybe that's your ka-ching, or your ka-ching is that, oh, I changed the state of the case. So you can see both of them that way. So I think that both of them fit into the data table idea. And then the lookup tables are usually kind of durable entities, like who, what, where, when, how. Like, okay, well, there was a ka-ching, case was activated, something, or activity, but then who did it, who was it submitted by, and that sort of stuff. So my gut feel is this one is that you don't have crazy number of columns, and you don't have that much data. I mean, 5 million, 1 million is not big by Power BI standards. So my gut feel is to flatten it, and make it like one table, like case activity, and it's also going to have the case details column. Now, and then it's going to have other lookup tables as well, like who, what, where, and how. So, right? So those are still going to be there. Let's see. So one, of course, you could look at the size of the model. And man, I haven't done it in a while. There are lots of tools available. So are you building it in Power BI desktop?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, I forgot now. Size. You'll find this funny. Scott, Tiny Lizard. We have the right man. but I'm looking for. Oh yeah, there we go. So there's a way to do this for Power BI. Essentially, it'll tell you exactly which table and which column is consuming how much memory size. So what I would do is, if you wanted to be kind of careful, of course, you know. So first thing I would do is I would note the size of the file, PBIX file, right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll not say flatten, I'll just say combine, because you still have lookup tables. So I'll flatten this one and then say, well, new size. And if it didn't grow crazy, then you're okay. Otherwise, you might have backfired, right? So yeah, performance and this kind of stuff is sometimes you just have to do it. And if you did want to look in more detail, I don't remember now exactly how to do it in Power BI Desktop, but it's definitely doable, because what all this thing is doing, all that if you look at the source code and all that stuff is doing, it's essentially looking at the DMV stuff that we talked about. So this DMV data management view, this has information about what is using how much memory, and it's just reading that. So yeah, so it's all in there. So that could give you a little more insight. Okay, that's good. Let's talk about the other scenario where you keep it separate. So if you keep it separate, what's the trade-off? What's the drawback? Is there something that you lose or something that's harder if you keep it separate?
Not so much. My main concern was if it was just wrong to do it that way. I'm just trying to learn and get my feet wet.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, so Greg Weber is my mentor when it comes to modeling. He pretty much taught me everything I know, and man, I've talked to him so many times. And when it comes to really tricky questions, he always talks about the trade-off as well. So it's not kind of right or wrong. I think you can go either way. My gut feel is that given the size and all that stuff, you can combine it, and you can combine it, just have one table, and it would be good, right? So I'm trying to think of a project that I'd done for where we were tracking sales, and we had like let's say case detail, right, and then case processed. Boy, so yeah, it was tricky because some attributes were kind of shared but different. Like when the case came in, maybe it has an assigned to. Maybe the case has an assigned to person, right?
Yep, and it does.
But when you go to case processed, it has a name of a person as well. But that is, since case processed is at a different grain, right? So case detail is just about the case, and there's one name on it, Avi. But when you look at case activity, it's going to have, created by John, and assigned by Jane, and dispatched by Steve. So it has different names, and that it's frankly, it's almost nothing to do with you keep it separate or keep it together, but you kind of have to figure like, well, how do I connect it to tables? So that could get interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to think of when would you keep it separate. So of course, if the new size blew up, you would keep it separate. Yeah, that would make sense. I'm thinking, is there another scenario? Yeah, I say combine it. I say combine it, see if the size grew crazy. My guess would be that it would probably stay about the same. Yeah, it shouldn't go too crazy at all. I would love to know actually what your results were.
Okay, I'll try it with all the columns, and I'll let you know what it ends up like.
Awesome, cool. And yeah, you don't even have to worry about fixing a model. Just like smash it together and let it break all the measures. None of that matters. All you care is about the size. So kind of smash them together, merge them together, and just see what the size was of the resulting one. Cool.
Okay, all right, yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so all right, guys, come on, YouTube friends. Who's on there? Nobody's helping me. So this one, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up my basic example that I teach in the course, where I teach all, and oh gosh, I'm a little frustrated now. Like, why would it
Avi,
not work? Yeah.
are we sure that the months are properly connected to this in your calendar?
Yeah, otherwise even the sales column would be the same. So if I go in here and if I delete the sales thing, then the sales measure itself would start doing this stuff. So it is connected, but it's not the all it wasn't working.
Yeah, I'm not finding anything online. I'm trying to hunt to see if there's anything where
Yeah.
calendar tables work strangely with this,
Yep.
and I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah, let's see. So let's try it on a different table. If we remove month, and what if we bring in let's just do sales. If we can solve one, we can solve the other. And we'll go by country. So if you go by country, and now I define a formula to say, hey, sales across all countries. And I'm actually gonna copy the other one, just so maybe I shouldn't copy that one, but we'll see. New measure, and it's the same exact pattern, sales, but instead of month, I'll say country, and gosh, I'll be darned if this doesn't work. Sales, okay, of course, sales, all countries. Sales all countries. Oh, yeah, so this works, and that's what this measure is supposed to do. It's supposed to say, yep, I'm gonna clear the filter and return you the total. Why wouldn't it do that? Well, it wouldn't. Sales full year, calendar, month. Let me try something else. So what if I had month number in there? Would that make any difference? So if I had, take this guy, take month number. No, don't summarize it. So 1 through 12, and sales full year. I said, month num, calendar month num. Oh, that works. Oh shoot! Did you guys see that? Shit, I'm glad this is I don't get it. I'll have to ask him. But that fixed that as well. I'll give up. I'll ask Jeffrey on this. Why would it need a month num in here? If I delete the month num, it doesn't work. Okay, so let's go back and let's see if we can help. Okay, so ignore that part. Ignore that part where it needs you to clear the month num. I still don't understand why. But we got the sales full year, which is not what we wanted to do. We didn't really care about that, actually, did we? Index full year. Yeah, index full year. That's the only one we wanted to care about. So calendar, month, num. Okay. All right, Ziyong Zhang. I'm probably not saying it right, but hey, if you're on, let's see if this is what you were looking for. So you wanted a standard index. Now I can speak your language, right? Because now I understood it. Okay, so you were saying, yep, for in your case you were doing state, and that's okay. You can do state just the way we did it here. The index for this state, in my case month, is 1.02, but this is the kind of the standard one, right? So this is for the full year. And so this is kind of interesting. So this is, of course, my working pivot, but how would you display it? Once you have that, well, maybe you would display it as so. I'm just going to make some space here. Oops. You can say, I don't want this, I don't want budget, I just want this index, and I want this in a combo chart. Oh, oops, not that. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Look at that. I mean, that's kind of nice. That's super cool. So you're saying, oh yeah, here's the index, and let's see if we can. Yeah, actually, that's good, actually. Right, so you can see here's kind of the index, and across state makes sense. Month doesn't make that much sense, and I'll tell you why. So imagine this was state. So the index for state, so the index in some way shows this ratio of actual versus budget or something like that, and it varies by different month or different state. Fair enough? But then you can see this standard line, this like, oh well, but this is the standard. So you can clearly see that who is above that and who's below that, and my brain is kind of so and depending on the scenario, it's either good or bad to be above or below that line. And you can get really fancy and maybe even color the graphs and stuff like that. So you can say, but we wouldn't worry about that, right? So you can show that. And guys, why is this more important for state? Because typically, if you're looking at month, which we're looking at right now, just because my data wasn't connected to state, to territory, to geography, but if you're looking at month by month, generally, whatever business process you're looking at is going to be consistent. If my sales are around $50 million, sure. I mean, maybe I sell more around Christmas and I sell $70 million, but it's in the same ballpark with me. But if you look at state, I don't know. Maybe I just started my business in California. I'm not even there. It's 1 month old, or yeah, something like that. So different states. California is huge, or maybe California is big. So California does $50 million, but Rhode Island, that is a state, right? Yeah, the smallest state. It does very small. So if you put actual dollar numbers there, then you can't see it, but you can put like an index value and you can compare kind of apples to apples. So I really hope that Yuzhong Zhang, that's what he was trying to do. And let's see what he says, which is standard. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. So he wants something a little more, but that's, hey, heck, let's just do it while we're on the call. Why not? Where did we go? So we go here. And we go back to Zhang, and we go. So he kicked it up a notch. So he wants the index of January, which we already have, right? Minus average of all, so which we already have. So he wants this minus that, divided by standard deviation of all 12 indexes. Standard deviation. Oh, standard deviation of that. Oh gosh, that one is really tricky. Are you guys kidding me? Because this goes back to the first question that Peter asked. Is can you do a standard deviation over a measure? Ooh, guys, this is I think I'm gonna solve this one here. So you can't. We started off with this question. So let's connect these two. Wow, I mean, this is like you can't script this stuff. So I'm gonna hop off the call in a bit, but we're leaving it where we started, where Peter started off, and he had something more on his scenario. Let me bring that back in. Where'd he go? Oh, sorry. There we go. Oh, shoot, I lost it now. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Peter's comments. And there were some other ones that I missed. But Peter was working on some scenario where he needed to calculate standard deviation on a measure. And look where we ended up. So, index Jan. So, let's space it up. So, index Jan, we already have an index measure for that, which shows us the index of January, right? And minus average of all 12 index. Well, frankly, in this case at least, the average of all 12 index is 0.98. It's you don't have to do average, you just say, well, overall, you know. So so we have that one, which is index full year, right? But then I think this is the curveball, which is standard deviation, not off sales, not off budget, which are based on columns, right? Sales is really sum of sales amount, but standard deviation off the index, which is what Peter was talking about. So, yeah. Hey, well, let's take it up in the Facebook group. We'll see if somebody can help us out, and that'll kill two birds with one stone, whatever scenario Peter is dealing with, and it'll solve Zhang's question too. All right, my friends, let's do one last call. I'm going to scan through the comments here. Healthcare data set, yeah. Oh, wow, Peter is still on. Yeah, your healthcare data set is definitely in the Facebook group. Okay, let's do last call on the phone. Friends, if you have any question, ask now. Going once, going twice, sold. All right, my friends, see you next time. Until then, power on.